Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into A Guide to Genius Level Creation. This book by Zenson Tran, it really pushes you to think differently about creativity and reaching your full potential.
It's fascinating how he frames it. It's like this constant push and pull
Yeah.
between those like primal instincts we have and our human ability to think abstractly. He calls it conceptual skill.
Yeah, that's what I found so interesting too. It's this tension, right? This tension is what he says makes us unique, makes us human. And it's what drives innovation. Like
Yeah.
early humans, think about them discovering fire. Must have been terrifying, right? But they also saw the potential there, and that conceptual leap, I mean, it changed everything.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah,
Like what are we missing out on today because we're too afraid to step outside our comfort zones.
exactly. And Train argues that instead of seeing those instincts, like fear or wanting to fit in, instead of seeing them as holding us back, what if we could like harness them? Like he uses this analogy of a skilled rider on a powerful horse.
Yeah, that's a powerful image. So how do we even begin to do that, I mean, like, just the fear of failing can be so paralyzing.
Oh, absolutely. I get that.
He actually says we need to lean into that fear. He has this six-step framework, calls it the genius framework. And it's all about acknowledging those instincts,
Yeah.
like fear or wanting to be accepted instead of trying to just like erase them. So take fear of failure, for example.
Hmm.
He says we could reframe that like as motivation, to refine our ideas or to get support from our community.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But before we jump into that framework, I think it's worth unpacking this idea of conceptual skill. It feels like this is at the heart of his whole argument.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. He keeps coming back to it, right? Like how
Yeah.
this is what sets us apart from other animals.
Yeah.
And he defines it as the ability to imagine things, to mentally test solutions before you actually, go and do them in the real world.
Yeah.
It's like we can run a simulation in our minds before we actually build anything. And that's what allowed humans to create tools,
Mm.
art, language, stuff that goes beyond just surviving.
Right. So if we have this incredible power, this conceptual skill, why aren't we all like geniuses? What's holding us back?
Well, Tran's very clear on this. He says it's fear.
Mhm.
Fear disguised as being practical or social pressure,
Yeah.
all those things. Like those whispers of doubt, right? What if I fail? What will people think? And it just keeps us stuck.
So those doubts they become like self-imposed limitations,
Yeah.
keeping us from, reaching our potential.
Exactly, exactly. But Tran says we can get that back, that lost potential. And it starts with recognizing, naming those fears and then taking those small steps to push past our comfort zone.
Okay, so instead of saying I'm terrified of failing, it's like we need to say I'm excited to see what I can learn from this.
Yeah, that's the spirit. It's a small change, but it can make a huge difference.
This reminds me of something else Pran talks about. He says we should be like learning from geniuses throughout history, right?
Yeah.
And he makes this point that genius it's not about being born special. It's about learning to think in a special way. And he uses some really cool examples like Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Da Vinci was always
Mhm.
questioning, observing. He was like constantly connecting things that seemed totally unrelated. His curiosity just had no limits.
And Einstein, he practically invented the thought
And
experiment, right?
yeah.
Like imagining himself riding on a beam of light to understand the universe. Talk about conceptual skill in action. But how do we take those big examples and make them actionable for ourselves? Is that where the genius framework comes in?
You got it. That's exactly where Tran takes us next.
Yeah.
He uses those examples to set the stage for his six-step framework. And he says it's a practical roadmap for anyone to take their genius level ideas, those big ideas, and actually make them real.
Okay, I'm ready. Walk me through it. What's the first step?
So step one, he calls it the spark. It's that initial burst of excitement, that big idea that, gets your heart racing.
So it's that aha moment, that flash of inspiration that gets you, fired up and ready to go.
Exactly. But you can't just run with every crazy idea you have,
Of
right?
course not.
That's where step two comes in. It's called grounding. And this is where we start to assess. We look at our resources, our values, those potential obstacles. We have to figure out, is this even possible? Is it practical? And how does this spark, how does it fit in with our bigger goals?
Right. So it's about taking that initial excitement and channeling it into something more concrete, right? But without losing that spark, losing that excitement.
Exactly, exactly. And once you've got that grounded understanding of your idea,
Yeah.
then you move on to step 3, and
Mm.
he calls this design. This is where we actually start to map it out, to map out our strategy. We set milestones, create those timelines. It's about taking that abstract vision and giving it some structure.
It sounds like a really crucial step for,
Yeah.
for anyone who struggles with taking ideas and actually making them happen.
Oh, it is. It is. And then we move on to step 4. And this is prototype. And this is all about experimentation,
That's okay.
an iteration, right? It's about actually putting those plans into practice, but on a small scale, just to see what works and what doesn't.
So we're talking about getting our hands dirty, actually trying things out and not being afraid to make mistakes along the way.
Exactly. And you know what? This step, it aligns perfectly with how we evolved, right? It's like we're tapping into that innate ability to learn, to adapt, to evolve.
That's pretty cool. So we've got the spark, we've grounded it, we've designed a plan, we've tested it out. What's next?
Step 5 is where things start to get real. He calls this commit.
Mm,
And this is about actually dedicating the resources we need,
mm.
both internal and external. And actually pushing through those inevitable challenges that are going to come up.
And this is where that fear we were talking about earlier can really show up, right?
Oh, it can. But Trent says this is also where true genius, really shines, that ability to persevere, to
Yeah.
overcome those obstacles.
It's about having that grit, that determination to see it through, to see your vision through even when things get tough.
Exactly. And finally, we arrive at step 6. He calls this evolve. And this step acknowledges that even when you've achieved that initial goal, there's always there's always room for improvement, for expanding, for adapting to the feedback that you're getting, and for leaving a lasting legacy.
So it's about recognizing that the creative process, it doesn't end with that initial creation, right? It's about continuously refining, adapting, and sharing your work with the world. I love this framework. It's so comprehensive, but it also feels very approachable. But how does Tran define, a genius goal within this framework? What makes them stand out from regular goals?
Well, he believes that most people, they set those safe goals,
Hmm.
those goals that don't really challenge them. But genius goals, those are the ones that excite us, that inspire change,
Yeah.
on a much larger scale.
So are we talking about, goals that align with human progress?
Exactly. They contribute to something bigger than ourselves. It's about aiming for something that truly matters.
I love that idea. It's about raising the bar for what we even consider success
Mhm.
and making a positive impact on the world around us. But how do we even begin to identify those genius level goals? What sets those genius thinkers apart in how they approach solving problems?
That's what we'll dig into next. Tran highlights how genius thinkers, they blend their problem solving instincts.
Right.
The ones that we kind of evolved with. They blend those with their capacity for those conceptual leaps, those big ideas,
Mm.
and they use both of those things to tackle those challenges in a very unique way.
Sounds fascinating. I can't wait to dive into that.
Tran uses Da Vinci as an example again with his designs for flying machines. He was observing birds, just a natural thing, right? And he applied those same principles to a human challenge.
Yeah, yeah. It's a perfect example of how observation can really fuel innovation. It's like he saw this solution in nature and then he had that conceptual skill, right, to translate that into something completely new.
Exactly. And this ability to recognize those patterns in nature, in history, in systems.
Yeah.
Tran argues that that's a really crucial part of genius thinking. It's that ability to abstract those concepts, to connect things that seem totally unrelated, and that leads to those innovative
So
solutions.
it's like we're building up this mental library of patterns, right? And the
Yeah,
more we learn, the more we observe the world around us, the bigger that library gets.
exactly. Think about it. recognizing those repeating patterns of waves, that's what led to boats and surfboards
Yeah.
or the structure of a honeycomb, you know. That inspired strong, lightweight materials. It's everywhere once you start looking for it.
This is making me want to like grab a notebook and start jotting down all the patterns I see. But okay, let's say we're starting to think like this. You know, we're connecting those dots, we're seeing those patterns. What are some practical tools that Tran recommends for actually putting these concepts into action?
Well, he actually encourages us to start with something incredibly simple, and that's field observation. Just getting out into nature
Yeah.
and observing with a curious eye. You know, asking yourself, how does this work? What problem is this solving? And you'd be surprised at the insights that you can get just from looking at the world around you.
So nature becomes like this living laboratory for creative problem solving. I love that. But what if you're stuck in the city, right? Like so many of us are. Can we still do this?
That's where biomimicry databases come in.
Okay.
These are online repositories. Basically, they're collections of nature's designs and solutions, and they're just ready to be explored, you know,
Yeah.
for inspiration. So you can actually see how nature has tackled similar problems to the ones that we're
Wait,
facing.
that's incredible. Biomimicry databases.
Yeah.
I need to check this out. It's like having nature's blueprint at your fingertips.
Yeah.
But Tran doesn't just stop at nature, does he?
No, he doesn't. He says we can learn just as much from history,
Mm.
and there are tools for that too, right? Like
Yeah.
timeline analyses or oral histories. They give us this wealth of knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, about how humans have tackled challenges in the past.
That makes sense. It's like we have access to this massive database of human ingenuity, right? So we can learn from nature, but we can also learn from our collective past. I'm getting really excited about this. But what about those of us who are more visual thinkers or those who need help organizing all these brilliant ideas? Does Tran address that?
He does. He does. So in addition to learning from nature and history, he gives us this whole range of tools that are specifically designed to put conceptual thinking, you know, into action, like mind mapping software that allows you to, you know, visually map out your ideas and actually see those connections that you might have missed otherwise.
Yeah, I've tried mind mapping before, and it's amazing how helpful it can be to get everything out of your head and onto something visual. It's like those connections just suddenly become so much clearer. Are there other tools like that?
Absolutely. Digital whiteboards. Those are fantastic for brainstorming, you know,
Yeah.
especially for remote teams. Everyone can contribute in real time, no matter where they are. And then there are these things called analogy generators, which can actually help us to reframe those problems, to see them in totally unexpected ways.
Analogy generators. Okay, you have to explain this. I'm picturing some kind of wacky invention here. How do they work?
So imagine you're trying to improve a team's workflow, right? An analogy generator might ask you, think of your team as an ant colony. How do they optimize? How do they optimize their efforts? And suddenly you're thinking about things like task specialization or decentralized decision making,
Hmm.
you know, and you're coming up with these totally new ways to approach the problem.
Wow. That's so cool. It's like a shortcut to thinking outside the box. I'm already feeling more creative just thinking about it. But I know myself. I can get so caught up in the tools themselves and forget about actually taking action. Does Tran talk about how to avoid that? How to avoid getting overwhelmed by all of this?
He does, and he emphasizes that these tools, you know, they're meant to serve our creative process,
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Yeah.
He suggests starting with just one or two, you know,
Uh,
the ones that really resonate with you, and mastering those, and then gradually adding others as you need them.
So it's about building a personalized toolkit, right? And not letting the tools themselves become this distraction from the real work.
Yeah.
I like that. What other advice does he give for navigating this whole process?
He also emphasizes the importance of using tools to really amplify our strengths and to compensate for our weaknesses.
Hmm.
You know, so if you're a visual learner, if you're a visual person, then lean into those visual tools. And if if you struggle with organization, then find tools that can help you to stay on track.
It's about finding that balance, right, between structure and spontaneity,
Mhm.
using those tools to support our natural flow, not to stifle it.
Exactly. And remember, trans sees this constant interplay
Yeah.
between adapting to the world around us and imagining something completely new. He calls this a conceptual evolutionary mindset. He
Yeah.
says this is key to navigating the complexities of the modern world.
Okay, I'm really intrigued by this. Break it down for me. How does this mindset, how does it actually work in practice?
Well, he emphasizes embracing both constraint and vision.
Yeah.
Constraints like limited resources or time, they can actually fuel our creativity
Yeah.
because it forces us to think outside the box, to be resourceful.
It's like that saying, necessity is the mother of invention,
Right.
right? Sometimes those limitations, they force us to come up with those truly creative solutions.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, there's vision,
Mm.
that ability to see beyond the present moment
Yeah.
and to imagine what could be. This is where our conceptual skills, they really come into play.
It's like having a North Star, right?
Yeah.
This big audacious goal that guides you, even when you're dealing with all the day-to-day stuff.
Exactly. Tran argues that we need to cultivate both,
Mm.
you know, both those adaptive skills and those visionary skills. So we can respond to changing circumstances, but also keep our eyes on that long term prize.
It's like being both a sprinter and a marathon runner, right? You need that agility, but you also need that endurance.
That's a perfect analogy. Tran
Actually,
encourages this kind of hybrid approach to planning. So incorporating those short-term sprints,
yeah.
but also that long term visioning. And he also emphasizes the importance of feedback loops,
Yeah.
constantly learning and adapting based on the data that we're getting.
So it's about combining the best of both worlds, right? The
Yeah.
agility of those evolutionary instincts and the foresight of our conceptual skills.
Exactly. And he takes us even further. He says we can actually design our environment to support this mindset. He calls it a genius ecosystem, a
Yeah.
space, a space that nurtures both our adaptive side and our innovative side.
So are we talking about our physical workspace or the people that we surround ourselves with? What makes up this ecosystem?
It's all of that. It's about creating a physical space that inspires creativity and collaboration. He suggests like incorporating natural elements, or surrounding yourself with objects that inspire you, and designating spaces for both focused work and for brainstorming.
It sounds like creating a sanctuary, a
Seems
sanctuary for your mind, a
oh,
space a space where those two sides of ourselves, the adapter and the innovator, can really thrive. But it goes beyond just our physical space, right?
absolutely. Tranhith also talks about our digital environment, and he encourages us to be really intentional about how we curate our online spaces, to follow inspiring people, inspiring communities, and to limit our exposure to negativity and distractions. It's about creating a digital space that nourishes our well-being and supports our creative goals.
That's so crucial. It's so easy to get lost in the noise and the negativity,
First one.
especially online. But it's not just our physical and digital spaces, is it?
Yeah.
There's also that human element.
Exactly. He really stresses the importance of our social environment. The people that we surround ourselves with. And he says we need to seek out those communities, the ones that inspire us, that challenge us to grow and that offer support when we need it most.
It's about finding your tribe, right? Those people who understand your dreams, who believe in your potential. It's about surrounding yourself with people who lift you up and who help you to stay focused on those genius level goals. But let's be real. No matter how great our ecosystem is, we're all gonna face barriers on the path to achieving something big. So how does Tran address those inevitable obstacles.
Well, he dedicates a whole chapter to overcoming those barriers,
Yeah.
and he argues that while our evolutionary instincts, they might make us want to avoid avoid those risks, avoid those challenges, but our conceptual skills they give us that ability to actually reframe those challenges, to see them as opportunities.
It's about turning those obstacles into stepping stones, right? To actually use them to propel us forward.
Exactly. And he offers a number of practical strategies for doing that.
Mm.
You know, like like reframing failure as data, you know, seeing those setbacks as valuable learning experiences. It's about adopting a growth mindset.
It's about learning from those mistakes and using them to iterate and to improve. What else does he suggest?
He also emphasizes the importance of seeking help when we need it,
Yeah.
you know. Whether it's from a mentor or a friend or a community, we don't have to do it. We don't do everything alone.
Yeah, sometimes a fresh perspective or a helping hand, it can make all the difference. But I'm curious, throughout the book, Tran keeps coming back to this idea of aligning our goals with human progress. What does he mean by that?
He's challenging us to think bigger than just our own personal ambitions. He argues that genius goals they're not just about individual achievement. It's about contributing to something larger than ourselves.
So it's about asking ourselves, how can my work benefit others? How can I solve problems and leave the world a better place than I found it.
Exactly. He wants us to think about how we can use our creativity, our innovation to actually make a positive impact on the world. And he shares these really incredible examples of people doing just that. You
Yeah.
know, entrepreneurs who are tackling social problems, artists who are raising awareness, scientists who are developing those life changing innovations.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how big or how small our contribution may seem. But but in the face of all the challenges, all the challenges that humanity is facing today, it can feel overwhelming. Does Tran address this?
He does. He
Yeah.
he talks about humanity's call to genius and
Yep.
and how we need those
Mhm.
those genius level solutions,
Yeah.
now more than ever. And he acknowledges the difficulties, the setbacks that we're going to face. But he also expresses this deep this deep faith in our collective potential to
Yeah.
actually create a better future.
It's like he's saying, yes, yes, things are tough, but we got this.
Exactly. And he offers a framework for how to do it,
Wow.
by embracing continuous learning, by cultivating our conceptual skills, by
Yeah.
by building those supportive ecosystems. He reminds us that genius, it's not some rare gift,
Yeah.
that's bestowed upon a select few. It's a potential. It's a potential that lies within all of us, just
Yeah.
just waiting to be unleashed.
It's inspiring, isn't it? It makes you want to stand up and say, "Okay, world, let's do this. Let's tap into our collective genius and create something amazing."
I couldn't agree more, and that brings us to one of the most profound questions that Tran asks in the book. He says, if fear, money, or time weren't barriers, what's one genius goal that you would pursue?
Wow. That's a powerful question. It challenges us to really strip away those self-imposed limitations
Right.
and to connect with our deepest aspirations. It's about imagining a world where anything is possible and asking ourselves what role do we want to play in creating that world.
Yeah, it really does make you think. You know, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? If those things weren't holding me back?
It's almost like he's giving us permission to dream big again,
Right.
to reconnect with that childlike sense of wonder and possibility.
Absolutely. And then he takes it a step further. He asks us to think about, okay, so what's the smallest step you can take today to actually start, to
Mhm.
start making that vision a reality.
And that's really what it comes down to, isn't it? It's about taking action. Even if it's just a small step. It's about believing in that power that we all have to
Yeah,
create, to innovate, to make a a positive impact on the world.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's about remembering that we're not just, passive observers in this. We're active participants. We're shaping the future. And that's what this book it's all about. It's about empowering us to step into that role, to unleash our own genius.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. What's one small step that you can take today to start bringing that genius vision of yours to bring it to life? Maybe it's picking up a notebook, and just brainstorming some ideas. Maybe it's reaching out to a potential collaborator, or maybe it's just taking a few moments to reconnect with those deepest aspirations of yours. Remember, every journey begins with a single step. So what will
But
yours be?